Hello, 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 and now we're down to the second of the Robert Eggers movies. Again, I hope he doesn't make any more, because then the idea of this being a trilogy will be completely out of date and useless, like most of my videos. But anyway, The Lighthouse, released in 2019. On paper, it shouldn't work. On paper you go, why would you watch this? For it concerns two lighthouse men, or wickies, played by Willem Defoe and Robert Pattinson. And a lighthouse. The lighthouse, I guess you could say, is a character. Here they are, standing with the lighthouse. And it's an unusual film. It's shot in black and white. I think it's in 4:3 ratio. It's not your widescreen vistas that you're used to. And I can't decide if it's a horror film or a thriller, or I don't. Again, it's an odd one. And again, I don't want to spoil this. I'm going to try and do this spoiler free. But again, it's that idea of man against the elements. This is a theme that Eggers likes to put, into his movies. We saw it, The Witch. There was the family against the forest. This time, it's two men in a lighthouse against the elements, the isolation. They're alone in the sea. It's set in 1890s again in New England. You could say he loves New England. And it's about the tempestuous relationship between Ephraim Winslow, the new guy, and Thomas Wake, the old guy. Again, Wake is I guess you'd call him the boss, and Winslow turns up, and well, it gets a bit weird, because again there's elements of mythology. You have mermaids and the call of the sea, and shouldn't kill. Used to be albatrosses, but I think seagulls. In this case, it should have been albatross, because it's bad luck for sailors. Maybe killing gulls is bad luck for lighthousemen. Oh no, I've spoilt some of it. So yeah, there's a certain mythology surrounding it, and you've got to remember there are many, many stories of lighthouse men going crazy and disappearing. There's one in Wales, the Smalls Lighthouse, where death and insanity is the main thing. Then there's the Flannan Isle mystery, where the men disappeared. This is that was in the 1900s. The men just disappeared. And again, it's that idea of men being locked together, getting each other's nerves, the isolation, getting to you. And this is what we see here. Now, what's interesting is Robert Pattinson, because what I like about him is he's after, was it Twilight, and he's like the teen heartthrob. He has gone on to make some very interesting movies and really, really trying to put that part of his career behind him. More recently, he was in The Batman, and I think he got it because of the performance in this. Though his accent does wander a bit, because they're doing this New England kind of English American, because there's bits where they still haven't quite got the American accent there. Because again, if you go back into the past, the American accent was still in development. It was still a work in progress. But yeah, it is, for a two-handed film, the performances pulled out of Defoe and Pattinson by Eggers is just something to behold. It's on paper, you should be God. You go, God, this is a boring idea for a movie, but it isn't. And again, it ramps up the tension. And if you don't know what is going to happen, or how things are going to happen, you just sit there. It's like a slow-moving car crash. You know that nothing's good's going to come out of this, but it's the how. it's the how and the whys of it that's interesting. And again, very male film, very looking at the male psyche, which is interesting. Loves playing with the idea of mythology, Eggers. So there are very similar themes to the previous movie. And again, very, very tough. It's a tough film. You do feel that Pattinson is suffering, because there's a lot of stuff with the elements, and there's a lot of psychoanalysis in it. There's a lot of sexuality in it as well. Two men together. It's, you've got to be careful. Just saying, because when men are together with no women around, it's amazing what a little bone carving of a naked mermaid could do to a man. But yes, it's a real out there film. It's again, Eggers isn't afraid to, just go a little bit off track and make something that's really challenging and compelling at the same time. And thematically, it does feel as a continuation from The Witch. Budget of $11 million. Box office of nearly $20 million. So, it was a success. But what a film. What a film. Again, some people will not like it. They won't get it. They won't understand it. But again, the films that Eggers makes have a certain literacy to them. This was originally meant to be based on a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. But I don't think Poe finished the story. I think it's only like 4 pages, and it kind of came out of that. And I think what he did is then looked at these other incidents. And again, I think there were quite a few incidents when the isolation of the lighthouse, because they were left there for many, many months, especially in the winter seasons, very difficult, would have a psychological toll on the occupants, especially if they didn't get on. Imagine being locked together with someone who's a bit weird, the isolation might have already got to them, and you're normal. You've just come off the boat, and that's where the friction comes from. But give this one a go. It's very, 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 very strange in a good way. And I guess it is a horror, but it's not your traditional horror. And it has that same sense of foreboding The Witch has. You just know that no good is going to come out of this. And it goes into mythology, it goes into the Promethean myth. And if you know what happens to Prometheus, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, if you know what happens, again, if you're literate yourself, then you have an understanding of where things tend to go. It is a bit on the nose at the end. I did say to the missus, that's a bit on the nose, but I don't think she was as au fait with the Promethean myth as I was. So, but again, I love what Robert Eggers does. He creates a world and he puts characters in it that you, even though they're a bit hard and a bit brusque, you feel for, and he ratchets up the pressure, internal and external pressures, and then he slathers a load of mythology on top of it. Fascinating, great director again, and to do just to do this is brave. It's a brave movie. And then the next one he did was called The Northman, which you're going to be talking about in the next video, which you can watch or not as you feel fit. But anyway, I'm trying to explain why I love the films of Robert Eggers, and I'm imploring you to check them out. That's what I'm doing here. Thank you for watching. That's it. that's the review. There's only one more thing left to say by now. You should know what that is, and that is ta-ra.